Welcome into the Sun Devil Source 2-minute drill. I'm Ethan Ryder, joined by Sun Devil Source reporter Jacob Rudner. Jacob, we just got out of watching Wednesday practice and Wednesday media availability as well. First thing we'll touch on is the offense. This just the state of the offense. There's a couple injuries that need to be noted, as well as just them coming off of a struggling performance against Washington State.
Yeah, Ethan, definitely some notable non-participants in ASU's practice today. Curtis Hodges and Case Hatch out of the tight end room were observed in attendance, but they did not work out. They were not dressed for practice. That's significant for this team. They've relied heavily on their tight ends. Curtis Hodges has been a huge factor in ASU's passing game, their most productive receiver in terms of yards per reception, and Case Hatch obviously a huge factor in that blocking game. That tight end room becomes fairly thin if those guys are unable to play on Saturday against USC. Johnny Wilson, also a non-participant in today's practice, as we were aware. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury the last couple weeks, so something to follow there for sure. And then as far as just the team working on some things that it struggled with against Washington State, a heavy emphasis today with the running backs and wide receivers on ball security. The group working on just maintaining possession, with some coaches trying to push the ball out, various means of being able to do that throughout the session. Just the team working on being able to maintain it after turning the ball over 5 times against Washington State.
Yeah, we also talked to Robert Rodriguez and a couple of the defensive linemen. There was just a talk about changes in terms of how they're going about practicing, especially with the fact that they haven't really been able to sack anyone recently, in the last couple of weeks, I should say, and they also have struggled with the run game. So what were they talking about?
Yeah, there's been some changes in practice for ASU's defense, particularly the fact that it's working against the number 1 and number 2 team with the offense. Normally they're working against the scout team. Now they're trying to foster this more competitive environment within practices. We heard that from Robert Rodriguez. We heard that from Shannon Foreman. So that's a big change there. But as far as ASU's defensive line performance, Robert Rodriguez says that the competitiveness and the effort within his group is still at a high level. He said that he would call out his players if they weren't performing at a high level, and he just wants to see some in-game improvement after some guys were pushed off the ball against Washington State. Defensive ends a little bit out of position.
And then turning the page, they take on USC in a big Pac-12 South matchup this weekend at Sun Devil Stadium. So what were they talking about? Drake London, of course, out for them for the rest of the season, and then a little bit of question marks in the quarterback room. So how are they preparing for that?
Yeah, as far as quarterback goes, that was a big point of emphasis for Robert Rodriguez. It could be between Keaton Slovis and Jackson Dart. And like Rodriguez said, ASU recruited Jackson Dart. They feel like they're familiar with him. So if it is Dart who starts, ASU feels ready for that potential challenge. And they've seen Slovis before. As far as just Drake London goes, it is a huge loss. Eric Gentry, ASU's freshman linebacker, said it absolutely changes the way that they game plan for the Trojans. They're looking at different personnel, how they might be able to solve a huge absence in their roster. And then lastly, just a very tough opponent for the Sun Devils. It's a game that they feel like they need to win, according to several players. It will be a focus as far as just stopping their offense, as it is every single week, and trying to game plan in a way that allows them to do so.
Game planning for a game that's very important for the season after trying to turn around against an embarrassing loss to Washington State at Sun Devil Stadium on Saturday against USC. But for now, that's Jacob Rudner. I'm Ethan Ryder, and that was the Sun Devil Source 2-minute drill.